A ship carrying 200 tons of food is on its way from Cyprus to Gaza. The Open Arms will be the first ship to use a new maritime corridor set up to bring humanitarian supplies to Gaza. It had been waiting in the port of Larnaca for the green light to set sail. Let's get more from our correspondent, Rosie Burchard in Cyprus. Rosie, the Open Arms now on its way. Can you tell us what the holdup was and how long it is now going to take for it to arrive?
I'm here in Larnaca, and behind me is the port. That is where this ship set sail from. It's been described by the Cypriot president as a journey of hope. Now, that journey will not be an easy one. It's likely on a good day, the sail would take at least 15 hours, but because this ship is towing behind it plenty of food aid, tons of food aid, that journey will likely go into the days. So it's not a simple or easy crossing, and it wasn't simple to get here. Negotiations to open this maritime corridor at the political level have been going on for months. There was a green light politically last week, and then in terms of actually getting the aid there, that's even more complicated because there is no permanent port infrastructure in Gaza after years of an Israeli naval blockade. Now, under this deal, Israeli officials oversee checks by Cypriot officials here in Larnaca so that the aid can go directly to Gaza, where an NGO involved has been building a makeshift jetty to be able to offload that aid, which we know is much needed, with the UN warning of risks of famine in Gaza currently.
Now, this is the first delivery along this new maritime humanitarian corridor. And yet the UN and other humanitarian agencies have been saying that trucking would be a much more effective and simply the best option for bringing aid to Gaza. Can you give us a sense of how much aid this route can actually provide?
So currently, this first ship is providing 200 tons worth of aid, and that certainly is more than a truck can carry. But make no mistake, this is not the simplest or the quickest way to get aid in. And the UN is saying this is no replacement for traditional land routes, so road crossings into Gaza. And before October 7th, those Hamas terror attacks, there were about 500 trucks of aid a day going into Gaza. The latest figures I have from the European Union is that that's down to 100. And of course, since then, the need for that aid has increased drastically given the ongoing bombardment. So really what officials are saying is, yes, this will bring some relief, some desperately needed food, but it is not a replacement and it cannot be an alternative to increased humanitarian access. That's something the United Nations has been calling for. Israel, for its part, welcomes this aid corridor, says it's committed to getting aid to Gazans, but it's also been heavily criticised given just how difficult it has been to get food in and other supplies across those traditional land crossings. It's also been accused of blocking aid through those traditional land routes.
I just want to let our viewers know that we are looking at live footage there of the Open Arms on its way. Rosie, can you tell us a little bit more about exactly what kind of aid is on board on this ship?
Yeah, I've been in touch with two of the charities that are operating this maiden voyage, and what they've told me is that those 200 tons include things like flour, rice, but also canned things like canned vegetables, canned proteins like tinned tuna. Those are supplies which we know will be very much welcomed in Gaza. We know that the need at the final destination of this ship is just enormous. So while it's been welcomed, as I said, described by the European Commission now also as a sign of hope in, of course, very dark times with this conflict raging on, it's something which will overall, given the enormous need there, just be a drop in the ocean for this maiden voyage. But there is hope, according to the Cypriot Foreign Ministry, that this maritime corridor will now be ramped up and that more ships can leave. We don't have any figures on how many ships could be crossing this or when the next one will go. The focus very much until now has been on getting this ship to set sail from here in Larnaca. That has now happened.
Our correspondent Rosie Burchard reporting from Larnaca. Thank you so much. As Muslims around the world welcomed the start of Ramadan on Monday, Gazans faced continued Israeli bombardments and a spiraling humanitarian crisis, as we've heard. Efforts to get Israel and Hamas to agree a ceasefire before the start of the holy month have failed, and the territory is on the brink of famine.
This year's Ramadan celebrations in Gaza have been stolen by fighting. The traditional sunset meal called iftar is hard to arrange with the little food available. but many are trying to keep tradition alive. Some remember the Ramadans of the past, a joyous occasion filled with flowers and family. Now, Gazans dine amid rubble.
The first day of Ramadan, thank God, we have this iftar here on the ruins. We have no homes, no furniture left for us, nothing is left for us. We couldn't even get anything from our homes. We came to Rafah from Khan Yunis on foot.
Most of Gaza's population has been displaced by the war. Many will spend Ramadan hiding from bombs in encampments like these. The UN Secretary General is calling for a stop to the fighting during the holy month.
The eyes of the world are watching. The eyes of history are watching. We cannot look away. We must act to avoid more preventable death. International humanitarian law lies in tatters, and the threatened Israeli assault on Rafah could plummet the people of Gaza into an even deeper circle of hell.
As Ramadan prayers begin, there's little hope for a truce between Hamas, which launched the worst terror attack in Israel's history on October 7th, and Israel, which has laid waste to much of Gaza in response. With negotiations stalled, ordinary Gazans can only continue to pray for a little more food and a chance to survive.
Let's get the view from Jerusalem with DW's reporter Felix Tamsut joining us now. I'd like to look first at the security situation. On Ramadan, normally you see hundreds of thousands of Muslims coming to pray at Al-Aqsa Mosque, which has really been a flashpoint for years in this conflict. Could you give us a sense of how things are looking this year?
Well, the Israeli authorities are on edge, we can say that. Police, the army, the government, everyone's been talking about the preparations, the security preparations for Ramadan. At the same time, it needs to be said that so far the situation has been calm. There have been some singular incidents of Muslims wanting to pray and clashing with Israeli police, but generally speaking, the situation seems calm. Everyone's eyes will be on Friday's prayers, where tens of thousands of Muslims are expected to get to Al-Aqsa Mosque to pray, and this will be a big test for the Israeli security authorities when it comes to their security preparations ahead of Ramadan.
And let's look again now at the situation in Gaza. How has Ramadan started there?
Well, we mentioned in the story before that the traditional iftar dinners are something which is considered a sense of having lots of food on the table. That hasn't been the case in the past few days. Food is scarce. There's lots of humanitarian aid missing, and this still seems to be the case. And with the Israeli operation in Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering, looming, the situation is not likely to get better in the coming days.
Have we seen any developments on the diplomatic front then? I mean, there had been hopes at some point that a new ceasefire agreement might even be reached before Ramadan, but clearly there has been no breakthrough.
That is indeed the case. Despite discussions taking place in the past few days and weeks, no agreement has been reached so far. We're talking about a situation where both sides, Israel and Hamas, sticking to their positions and resulting in no agreement being reached and the fighting continuing onto the holy month of Ramadan. Reports here in Israel say that the Israeli government believes a ceasefire agreement or an agreement generally with Hamas during the month of Ramadan is unlikely, but still possible. But at the same time, I think what's clear is that the group that has been suffering the most as a result is the civil population in Gaza. And given the reports on the failure of the negotiations on reaching a ceasefire, this isn't bound to get better in the coming days. I think we can say that.
Well, thank you very much for your reporting. That is Felix Tamsut for us in Jerusalem.